recording? We are recording. Today is the 23rd of September. This is the outreach meeting 2024. Just to follow up on notes from our last call, we talked about, actually we talked about a lot last call, but I forgot to record it, of course. But we went through the blog schedule and we got that confirmed. I did get the blog out. blog out. Share my screen really quick so we can see that. We had a couple of blogs already submitted here. Let's see. Ortelius is looking for a few good blogs. Here is the calendar. There's also a note on how to submit blogs and to help people along. So that has been published. I need to do, we had to do a little switch on our social media platform. So I need to get these all scheduled, which I'll do this week to make sure everybody knows what the blogs are for October, which is what data is important to measure in the DevSecOps pipeline. And those blogs can qualify for Hacktoberfest, which was the other blog that we got out. I thought. There, make sure I got it. There's Hacktoberfest 2024. So that is out, along with everything about how to get started and a list of issues to work on. So if anybody wants to earn a digital badge from DigitalOcean, you can either submit blogs to get that done, or here's some issues to do. So that stuff is all done, and that's what we had worked on last week. We also talked a bit about the onboarding of Ortelius to Jenkins. Sasha did add a part 5 called Ortelius marries Jenkins that shows you how to set up your machine so that you can run both. You can have a private instance of Jenkins and configure it with Ortelius. Remember, Ortelius is a Kubernetes application, so you do have to have a Kubernetes cluster to run it. And Steve, I don't know. Steve, are you still on this call? No, Steve has dropped. I don't know if there's an easier way to do it, but I'm thinking that what we need to do is we need to probably go through these set up these how to bake an Ortelius pie part 1 through 7 and see if we can do just what it takes to, because he's got a lot of, if you go through this, you'll see that there's quite a bit. He's having you build out a full environment, which is pretty awesome. It's a really good learning experience. But I'm wondering if there are things that we can take out to create a full local environment. So I'll reach out to Sasha to see if there's a way to consolidate the 7 into just one, how to set up a local Jenkins and a local Jenkins instance that connects to the SaaS version of Ortelius and doesn't download it locally. Let me get that in there. And if we know anybody who's really into metrics and metadata, and I'll reach out to some folks in that we may know to get some blogs submitted by them. That would be great. Shit. Okay, so what we really need to do is figure out how to get a local Jenkins instance running so people can then play with it connected to Ortelius. On that note, it would be there if you go out to the documentation.
Tracy, your voice is very low. I'm unable to hear. Is it just me or anyone experiencing the same?
Hi, Simon. Good to hear you. You sound sort of broken up yourself. Is anybody else having? Oh, you know what? This will help. Is that better?
I don't know why, Miss Tracy, your voice is very low for me. I'm just
Is that
checking.
better?
Is
I
it
picked up my microphone and hooked it to me. Is that
okay,
better?
got it.
I'm okay. And yeah, Thames' voice was breaking up for me before as well.
Okay. So I hope everybody can hear me better. I'll speak up, but here is this Ortelius sign up and tutorial. Now what the sign up and tutorial doesn't require anything to be installed. It really just allows you to explore how Ortelius is the vulnerabilities being managed for Ortelius. So if anybody is motivated to go through this to make sure that this is flowing correctly, that would be great. I've gone through it, so I believe it's correct. But I think it would be useful for another set of eyes. I'm going to put that out on the.
Tracy, I can have a look at it, but I don't know whether I would know all the technical, details. Anyone I can reach out for help in case I get stuck.
So it should not require any technical expertise.
Okay.
It should not require, it should be, the only technical expertise it requires is pointing and clicking. So you don't have to install anything. You just have to sign up and click through Ortelius's vulnerabilities.
Okay. Yep. Sure. All right. I'll have a look then. The SaaS piece.
Yeah, so don't think that it doesn't, it's really just, here's how we're doing it, and here's what, click on this, click on that, click on that. It is a fully click through tutorial.
Okay.
I'll call it the click through tutorial. And I put the link to that, to the Ortelius guide in there, and it should take you through everything, including the sign up.
Sure. Thanks.
And if you get stuck on any of it, we need to fix it like right away. So be sure, Steve is still on the Discord site. So post something to the Discord site if you get stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is sort of where we, that catches us up to today. We had a discussion about Jenkins. And we still, we really need to formulate how we're going to reach out to the Jenkins community. I don't think Brian Dawson is on the call today, but I know he is going to put some focus on it. But most importantly, I believe, is making sure that we are really building out that Jenkins onboarding as simple as possible. We may want to do some blogging around Jenkins, so we could do so in terms of developer outreach. I think that maybe recordings, video recordings would be nice. Blogs about connecting Jenkins to Ortelius with SBOMs would be an important one. There's meetups that are everywhere, and some of them are still on Zoom. So it's possible that we might be able to get some meetings to talk about Ortelius with the Jenkins community. So those would be the three primary ones. I'm probably forgetting something that might be of use. Does anybody have any other ideas how we might be able to reach out to the Jenkins developer community?
I wrote a blog on how to use Jenkins with Ortelius. It just doesn't work all the way because it doesn't work on ARM So my S
So,
bonds don't work.
Could you do one that is just the download, just how to build, how to do a local, just Jenkins alone on any, I guess you have to figure out what operating system they're on, right? Like a Windows operating system?
Let's make them build the whole cloud. Come. I'm joking.
A really good
Yeah, no, I could
walkthrough
do
of how
one.
to build a
Just
cloud.
Jenkins. Just run Jenkins locally.
Just Jenkins running locally with a connection to the SaaS version of Ortelius.
Oh yeah, could do that. But not as a container. Like, how do you want it running? Do you want it stored locally on your machine, not in a container, like a Docker container, anything like that?
Correct. Just however, just bringing Jenkins locally.
Okay, like brew install, like some package manager install Jenkins or whatever they use to install
Yeah,
Jenkins.
some kind of, yeah,
Okay,
for Windows, I guess.
yeah, for Windows.
I guess we could do it for Linux as well, but most people are just going to have a local machine's going to be Windows, I'm assuming. I could be completely wrong,
We can
but
do
I'm gonna,
both.
let's just do Windows first.
Okay.
And let's see if I can get it done. Write something for me, Sasha, and I will be your test case.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, no, believe me, no.
Yeah, cool. Let's do. What do you have, Tracy? You have Windows.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
There's probably already stuff out there to how to install Jenkins, so you might be able to pull on some stuff the Jenkins community has already done.
I've got a Windows machine. I can run it on my Windows machine. It's fine.
Okay, so
Tracy,
yeah.
I share some links. Jenkins has a meetup community. We can actually give a talk related to integrating Jenkins with Ortelius in their meetup group. I shared 3 links in the chat.
Okay, let me get them. Yeah, and I believe we know the person who manages this.
Yeah, that's
I
useful.
believe his name is Jude. God, what is Jude's last name? Let me stop sharing and see.
Jude
And
Law.
I think, yeah, Jude Law. So I think of exactly now. I'm not going to remember his name for sure. Just got that in my head. Jude is his first name. He used to be with Cloud Bees, and I think he took on Jude Wellington. No, yes, that's him. I'm pretty sure. Let me look real quick. Yes, Jude Wellington. So here is Jude's info. I believe he is managing that. Have Brian speak to Jude about getting us on a Jenkins schedule. But before we do that, we'd better know what we're going to present. So I feel like this group in particular, if we could all learn how to talk about integrating security into Jenkins through Ortelius, I think that would be a very, very a good exercise for us all to talk through why that's important. So probably we need to work on some blogs. And I almost feel like it would be to send just one of us off to write a blog about the importance of using Jenkins and Ortelius together, and of course Sasha's information on how to do the connection. Probably isn't the best thing. It feels like we could work on a joint blog together with all of us putting in, comments, about it. Even if we just did a blog in that way and had, the community's opinion about bringing security into the Jenkins pipeline. Arvid would have a paragraph, Jean would have a paragraph, I would have one, Kate would have one, from different perspectives, so that we work on it as a collaborative. And I feel like we'll feel better about it. It'll be more of a community experience, and we'll all start learning to talk about it. Is this group up for doing that?
Go.
Sasha, I
Then
think we
they
have
can
to team up.
Hmm?
I think we have to
the
team up.
ball.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'm saying like
Let's
we
team
have to
up.
team. Yes, we need to team
Then
up.
we get Jenkins Ortelius shirts. They'll have to make a new Jenkins with an Ortelius like UFO.
Yeah, it would be kind of fun. We do have a really fun, we do have this, we can start with. I'll post it in here. Let me see if I can find it. It is the New Mexico
So Tracy, I'm
Jenkins
thinking like
logo.
we
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Go ahead, Simon.
yes, I'm thinking like we can do two things. One, we can actually set up a blog, and one, remember last time we met with Mark Wade for the Jenkins project, and we can actually team up to host a joint webinar on CD Foundation workshop that I'm actually hosting. So we can pull up one member from the Ortelius, one from the Jenkins, and I can set up some schedule on the continuous delivery workshop that we are running.
Okay. Yeah, if you could get Mark to agree to that, that would be great.
I know two person from the Jenkins. One is Oleg Nanashev, and one is Mark that we last time actually have presented. So Mark is, I think, a CTO type focused person, and Oleg is basically a DevOps engineer.
The other idea that I do have that I believe we should work on, and this would be probably a more involved coding project, Arvin, that might be something you might want to take on. And that would be to, let me just, I'm doing too many things at once. Let me see if I can find this adorable icon. If I can, I'll shoot it over in a, some of you have already seen it before. It's got the Jenkins kind of logo look, but it's our Ortelius, it's the Ortelius head. So it's an alien riding around in a spaceship with holding his little Jenkins towel. It's pretty cute. Max Archbuckle did it for us. I don't know what it's called. I'm down to J's looking at my images. I'll have to find it and send it. I can't remember what I did with it. But what we need to be able to do, I'm going to cancel out of here and I'm going to go back into the screen. So I think I mentioned this last time. If we really want people to use Jenkins and Ortelius together, it feels to me that it's our responsibility to serve Jenkins up as close as possible to the work environment that they have. So if we go over to Ortelius, and I go to a component, because what most of the time a Jenkins pipeline is going to manage the creation of a single component. So if we go look at a component and we bring in that data, it feels to me that this information here, this security posture, this SBOM, any vulnerabilities that may be found, and remember every time this gets scanned every 10 minutes, so it could change on a regular basis. The OpenSSF scorecard, the README, the license information, I feel like that should be put into Jenkins. So when they run a build, they have this out there always in Jenkins. Now that doesn't mean they're going to have application information and they're not going to have environment information, but they're going to have that vulnerability information served up to them right through the Jenkins platform. With links to, for example, we could link it to all these consuming applications. So this would be, this impact analysis would be here and in Jenkins, and they could click on Ortelius and look at the applications then that are consuming their component, if they chose to. I mean, this may not be information that is super helpful for them, but certainly if you're an application, you want to know who's building your components. But we could at least provide this level of information so that they could see, for example, here, this is the Ortelius application, and here's a clear understanding of all of its components listed here. So we could have that application link back. So everything on the component side of the house would be served up to them in the Jenkins GUI, the Jenkins dashboard. It would require a plugin. I know, Arvin, you've been looking at trying to do more coding. Would it be something that you would be interested in taking on? If you had Steve give it,
Yes.
I think if Steve gave you some help on it, I think you could get it done.
Yes, I definitely need some help.
I believe that you will, because I've heard that those plugins can be kind of hard to do, but on the other side, there's a lot of information about building those plugins, and I think that Steve could probably help you to do it. So why don't,
Yes.
I'll let, Arvin, would you put some time on Steve's calendar to touch base with him?
Yeah, I will schedule a call for maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
Okay,
So we have a hash start for the Ortelius architecture meeting.
okay. Let me just put that in the notes here.
And
Okay.
also for metric and metadata blog, can we reach out to Luigi from OpenSSL?
I'm sorry, what?
For metric and metadata blog, can we reach out to Luigi?
To write a blog?
Yeah, or metrics and metadata.
You know what? I don't know where he's at. I haven't seen or heard of him for some time. I don't know, because he said he was overwhelmed with the work that he had taken on. And that metrics and metadata group kind of just fizzled out after he left. So I don't know where those people are with that discussion. But I will look to see if Luigi is still around, Arvin. I will make that my priority for that. I think he just got too busy with trying to do work and trying to keep up on a open source project and just decided he couldn't do both.
Yeah, maybe it's taking some time.
It's work, I get it. There's a lot of work involved in it. Okay, I think we have a plan. And Sime, you're going to reach out to Mark Waite? Or Oleg?
Mark Wage and Olive Nanashev. Oleg, I know I will reach out to him on Twitter. He's actually already connected with me. Mark, we send out an email because right now he only has his email with us for the communication.
If you could CC me on both of those, so I know when you, because I do run into Mark when I'm on meetings, and so I can ping him after I can at least talk to him about it. Oleg, I haven't spoke to in quite some time. He was I think he was in Switzerland working someplace,
Yes.
maybe, was it? Yeah, I don't know if he's still there. So I haven't talked to Oleg in a very long time. But it would be great to get somebody like Oleg back in the fold. I know that the community appreciated him because he's done so much work. The only concern I have about Mark is I know that they're doing, I know that he has quite a bit on his plate, so I don't know if he'll be able to do it, but we can certainly ask him.
Yes, we can
And
ask him
I
if
think,
there's someone he knows to team up with us.
yeah, so what I think we need to do for this is, number one, we should start working on that joint blog together, so we're all thinking it in the same way. Number two, we got to get Sasha's magic to happen, so it's easy for a person to install Jenkins locally and hook up Ortelius. And the thing is, I'm assuming that we have to not only install Jenkins locally, but have a project in there that you can connect Ortelius
go
and
on.
gather data
Don't
for,
worry.
right?
That's easy.
Okay.
Yeah. I
And
can
then
just everything in my blog. We can just all we do is scale it back. That's all. You can take
Okay.
anything from the blogs and use it in locally. You don't have to build the whole thing for yourself.
That's what before you joined, that's what I said. I said, I have a feeling he'll be able to give us a skinny version of this just for Jenkins. And then,
Squeamish.
so once we have that, I feel like what we could do is do one of us take on to do a video. Maybe we get Brian Dawson to do a video. He's really good at doing trainer videos. So we do a kind of an educational video about how we're doing it and how we're automatically adding SBOMs through our plugin, which that information is already out there. So don't forget that as well. So if we go back, let me share my screen really quick again. I'm bouncing back and forth on screen sharing today. If we go over to integrations, the CI/CD support does go over how to set up your environment. There's a kind of a step 1 through 5, I think 4, how to run how to start connecting Ortelius to actually automatically create components and applications and SBOMs. So a lot of the work for doing this is done, except for Sasha's missing step. What we haven't done is put it all together for people to make it easy, so that they know that we already have all this information. Now, Jing, this is different from the quick tutorial. So this one would require you have a Jenkins installation available to go through the process, right? So we could set it all up, have this already set up in Sasha's environment, and then we could do a tutorial for them to set it up for their own environment by changing some basic information around the parameters, because it's going to change based on the application.
Do you know
So
what
the
else I can do,
application name.
Tracy?
What?
We can make an Ortelius. Okay, before I go too crazy, you know me, I go a bit too crazy, so you guys can just reel me in. But we can use an image and package the image and push it into the cloud, and they can download it whenever they want with Ortelius pre-baked and set up already.
If you can do that and that makes it
I can do
super
that.
easy, then that's what we
Yeah.
should do. The idea is let's go back to and some of you weren't around when I was preaching this a lot, but there's a book by a man by the name of what's his first name? John O. Bacon. And it's called People Powered, and it's about setting up an open source community. And we've done a lot of work around that book, in particular, trying to make it as easy as possible for people to find meetings and to get involved. We worked on the Ortelius contributor guide, making sure, and some of you, Sasha included, did work on this. And we've done a really good job of all that. What we haven't done a good job with is actually doing the same thing for onboarding people to Ortelius. So the easier the on-ramp, and he talks about this in depth, the easier the on-ramp, the better success. So you want to set everybody up as so everything's super easy to do and super easy to understand. If in fact that container had Sasha's plugin in it, that would even be better. Arvin's plugin. So if we could get that set up, and then Arvin gets his plugin written, and I don't, that could be, Christmas or longer before that's done, but that's okay. We're on a schedule to get it done. And then it would be super easy for people. Now, the real easy thing would be to take that, not think about the Jenkins part, but just the plugin. And how do we get that plugin updated into a Jenkins environment super easy for somebody? So that would be the next step. But right now, I think providing a sandbox for people to play on Ortelius at their local machine with Jenkins is the way to start it, to go to the next step. And please, if anybody who's been doing developer outreach, has better ideas, please pipe in. But I have been trying to think through this, and I feel like the biggest problem is we need to provide them a sandbox to play on it. Because I don't think if I was working in a company, I probably wouldn't implement this directly into my production version of Jenkins. I would want to test it and play on it first.
Yeah, definitely though. People want to play with it first to explore the features, to see what's the benefits themselves before they actually can take it back, get them installed.
Exactly.
That's why that's how I built it at home and then blogged about it, right? How you can, I'm trying to show people where Ortelius fits in your cloud environment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while I'm here,
I don't,
be
yeah.
sure.
In the previous trace, we have a VMware. I remember back in my IBM days, we have built those VMware image. Everything's built in. People want to use it, just download the image and then run it. Everything's already there. So I'm not sure. Can we use the same concept? Because I'm probably quite dumb, right? When I was using trying to set it up, I remember I ran into loads of issues. I was paying Sasha, I was paying, Avo as well. Now I left there for a few months. I forgot about it already. So that's why I'm just thinking if there's something really easy, I just download and play myself instead of I have to go through trying to understand every product first and then
It's
trying to
gotta
get
be
them
easy.
connected.
It's
Yeah.
gotta be easy. I know, it's gotta be easy, and that is the point. We have to make it as easy as possible. So how do we make it easier and easier and easier, right?
There is one thing also we can do. Currently, Ortelius have a lot of microservice. So can we create a separate version where instead of showing the Ortelius microservice, we will show 2 or 3 microservices that we have manually created. So in that way, they can consume the information little bit easily.
So I feel like that question should probably be asked by the architecture group. So,
Yeah,
I would ask that, I would ask Steve to respond to that. So on the architecture group, if somebody could bring that up, that, the outreach committee's trying very hard, and I'll mention it to him too, and I know he knows that. But I think that's a discussion for the architecture team.
I will talk with you in
Okay.
the architecture meeting.
Change that.
Yeah, we can do this. We can make a packaged Windows vagrant box that you can just pull down.
Yeah, I think we could do
Right?
it too.
Everybody's got fast internet, right? Pretty much fast
Pretty
enough
much.
because
Yeah.
it's going to be quite big, right? Because the problem is Windows. Windows is, I know, it's
Um,
bloated. I'm just going to say it. It's quite
uh,
quite a fat image. And I've done
why
Windows, and
we
it's at least 8 gig just Windows on its own, right? So we're just going to pack a few more
uh,
things in there, so it'll be about 10, 12 gig maybe.
I don't think you
Maybe.
have to put Windows in it though.
why we
Oh, we
need
don't need one.
Windows?
Just
Don't you
put,
need Windows?
I don't think, well, I guess you do. First of all, I think what we should do is look to see if the Jenkins community themselves already have an easy container that you can download that you could use.
Ah, yeah. Oh, so we're
Because
fine with containers. We don't need to use a whole OS. We just use a container. Is everyone happy with containers?
Yes, like the Docker container, or maybe we can create
Oh,
an EC2
oh, that's
instance,
well.
or
Then we don't need. That's the easiest thing to do. Yeah, yeah, that's easy. Okay,
I guess it's
or
just
an,
something people can pull down, install it,
container
and then run it, right?
containers
let's
the
look at
or
best.
the,
More or
let's
less.
look at the, let's look at their, so they have a nice plugins community, which we should be a part of, that's for sure, which is what we're working on.
But you can do like a whole OS if you want to. You can do them all if you want.
So there's a guide on installing Jenkins out there. I think that's what we should work from. They have Docker,
Container.
Kubernetes, Linux, Windows, other systems, a WAR file. They have several ways to run it.
Cool.
Here, I'll put that in the. I mean, Jenkins is a really good example of what we should look like in terms of getting people to download and install the software. And I don't think that we've done that, right? We haven't focused on that. And that's why I'm trying to kind of shift our attention over. So if I go and share my screen again. Here is, I just went to the Jenkins doc, and here's their overview of how to install Jenkins, and they have different environments to do it. Here's one for the Windows. Giga drive space, it's a lot. And here's a video on how to install it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I use their Helm chart for Kubernetes. Works really well.
So there is the process. So would we copy that process for them and then add our stuff to it? I'm not sure. Or would we refer over to this and say, here, just run this first? And then this is how you connect it? I'm not sure.
Because this is their product, they're going to keep changing version after version. So probably just link to them will be better though.
That's what I would think too.
For the POC, we can link to their docs for the installing part, and for the integration part, we can write only that article. But for
Yeah.
Ortelius, we can write. We have to fix a Jenkins version, and we have to write from installing Jenkins to all way up to the integration.
So for integration as well, are we only just need to copy the file, or we need to do whole loads of setups? Or can we
So for
also run as a program?
Once Jenkins is installed, this documentation, go back to our
Part
documentation.
7.
This documentation under integrations shows you how to pretty much set it up. It's not that you basically have a TOML file that's running in your as part of your pipeline that creates the integration. So
Yeah, and it works.
yeah,
Because mine was working.
Yeah, this stuff works fine. We did recently had somebody from Southwest Airlines download it, and he went through this exercise and had no issues. So we know that people have played with this, and they're using it.
Yeah, mine was gonna work. I have Ortelius running locally, right, in my Kubernetes cluster, and my Jenkins was gonna connect to my local Jenkins gonna connect to my local Ortelius.
And the I attended the virtual DevOps World, the CloudBees event, and they had Launchable, which they've just purchased, which Kosuke, the creator of Jenkins, started a new company. Now he's back at CloudBees. In their presentation, they spent some time on how to connect Launchable to Jenkins, and they said, take an hour and go through the experience, and you'll see how easy it is to do. And they did do a little bit of it in the demo, but they had something very similar. It wasn't very different. And if you look back over here, there is a section on plugins. So, I don't think we have one. Yeah, so there's no Ortelius plugin. I bet there's a Launchable plugin though. Oh, Launchable's not out there either. Unless I spelt it wrong.
Launchable. What's that?
The testing tool. There's a lot, there's a ton. Here's a Terraform plugin. Here's, there's a ton of stuff out there for plugins for Jenkins.
Yeah, there's tons.
Yeah, this is the beauty and also the pain of Jenkins. If all of these are all have to be managed individually, which is why the CD events project is so important to everybody. Because all of these tools then could be called automatically if everybody understood what payload to collect and what payload to pass, without having to write a particular plugin. That's why a listener is so important. But we'll see.
Yes.
We'll see if we get somebody like an Apple or somebody to help with creating that listener. But anyway, that's a different story. So
Yeah,
those
that's
are the
cool. Then you
areas.
don't need all those plugins.
You wouldn't have to have all the plugins. Exactly. You could, if you wanted to use Mabel, you would say, I'm going to set Mabel up from my listener.
Yeah, that's
If you
cool.
wanted to use Ortelius, we could call Ortelius through the listener, right? Add it to the listener. Yeah.
No.
So anyway, this is why, there was before Kosuke went off and started his own company, he wrote a very, very heartfelt blog about everybody using Jenkins and how proud he was of the community that's been built around it. But at the same time, the plugins have become a drag to support and makes Jenkins overly difficult.
Yeah. That's a lot of people I've spoken to, like industry, they like love Jenkins, but then it comes to plugins, they're all like, oh, then you get a
Right.
corrupt one and then it doesn't work properly and this thing needs to be rebooted. And, yeah, exactly.
But GitLab isn't any better. Nobody has solved this. This is what I keep, I do those Techstrong gang calls and people are always talking about AI and AI, how great it is. I'm like, AI hasn't changed my life at all, except for ChatGPT. I can write better, and Grammarly was doing that for me. So I don't know necessarily if AI is doing its job right now, except getting a lot of funding for small companies who may deliver some AI feature. It's not a product. This would be a very nice AI feature if we could create a smarter listener and do some pattern matching and fix some of the things that we have and generate workflows that people could use, even if we were doing that and maintaining plugins, but that's all a different thing. Right now, we just have to get on the board with this. We should have Ortelius should be in here and it's not. So we need to get that done. If we really want to be part of the Jenkins community, we have to become part of the Jenkins community.
What is it written in? What language do they use? Java or
Jenkins?
is it using Groovy, their Groovy script?
I have no idea. Honestly, don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. I don't know
I'm
either.
guessing it's probably many different things. I think that most of the plugins are probably TOML files.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the main Jenkins was written in Java, and there is also another one called Jenkins X, which is written in Golang.
So Arvin, do you have a machine that you have Jenkins installed on it?
Yeah, I have cloud and I have I mostly use the Docker container.
That's fine. But you can run Jenkins locally.
Yes.
Then my suggestion for you would be to pick one of these plugins and see if you can work and install the plugin and learn how plugins work. And they should have like these are all plugins for user interface. So I'm trying to think of a plugin that would have, once you installed it, it would have an interface to the Jenkins dashboard.
Yeah, that's I already used it before, and it just creates some extra settings in the UI. Like if you enable the Git plugin, it will show the input box where we can put the GitHub link. So it works in that way.
Okay. And if you get stuck, Arvind, and Steve is not able to solve the problem for you, let me know, because we potentially could reach out to some folks in the Jenkins community that would help.
Yeah, let me schedule a call with Steve first
Okay, yeah, that's the
and
easiest
see
place
what
to
we have
start.
to make.
Okay, sounds good.
Arvind, you're so clever. You'll write that Jenkins plugin in no time.
It will be a really good learning experience for him, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to the GitHub repo for Hacktoberfest. Maybe I'll create I'll ask Steve how to set it up so there's at least 4 out there. So if you do deliver it between now and the end of October, you'll have completed your Hacktoberfest pull requests. Even if it's something just to get it started. So I'll reach out I'll find out from Steve if there's a way to do that. All right, I think we've taken everybody's time. Thank you, everybody, so much. Appreciate everybody being on here and contributing to this conversation. It will be an important one for 2024. The product's more than ready now to be adopted, and people need to see it. And I feel like the Jenkins community is a good place to start. I think GitHub Actions would be the next place.